Hey folks, Schmidt here with Drive Safe Missoula. So I'm going to share with you two videos. One of them is of a car crash. You're going to want to watch that one. But the first one we're going to talk about is from Australia. And if you happen to have a young driver in your family, or you have friends that have a young driver, if you could, please share this video with them. It doesn't matter where they are in the world, but the reason why this is important is I see these driving behaviors occurring all the time right here in Missoula. And as you watch this crash, and as we talk about the different elements of what's going on with this crash, you're probably going to be nodding your head going, oh yeah, I see these things happen all the time. My ultimate goal with this is to hopefully save a life and prevent people from meeting unexpectedly, crashing into one another. First, what we're going to do is watch this video from Australia. This is a genius campaign. I just learned about it yesterday at the Montana State Traffic Safety Conference that we just had. Somebody had mentioned briefly in one of their presentations this campaign from Australia called Wipe Off 5. Folks, this is genius. I am so impressed with this. Now, what they're talking about is wiping off 5 kilometers per hour of speed, and what that means in the potential crashes that occur around Australia, and how this could potentially save life and a truckload of damages. Now, 5 kilometers per hour. What the heck is that? We use the imperial system here in the US. We're talking about miles per hour here. 5 kilometers per hour, folks, converts to 3.1 miles per hour. That's all they're talking about, is reducing your speed by 3.1 miles per hour. Now, in this video we're going to watch, they're going to talk about 60 kilometers per hour and 65 kilometers per hour. That's 37 miles per hour versus 40 miles per hour. That 3 mile an hour difference, essentially. So 37 miles per hour and 40 miles per hour. What 3 miles per hour means. This is it, folks. This is absolutely genius. So let me rewind this here and let's watch this.
What you're about to see will change your mind about speeding. 2 identical cars, one travelling at 60, the other at 65. A sudden change in the road ahead, and both drivers first react, and then, a moment later, they brake. And things start to get interesting. Down here, the difference is extraordinary. In the last 5 metres of braking, you wipe off half your speed. So this car is still doing 32 k's when it hits. This one also hits, but only at 5 k's. So no matter how good a driver you are, 5 k's difference up there makes 27 k's difference down here.
Huge. Folks, that is absolutely genius. So Australia has an entire campaign related to Wipe Off 5, where they even took like sporting events and they removed the 5s, like the 50-yard line. They took the 5 off the field.
Knowing that driving 5 kilometres over the speed limit doubles the risk of crashing, the Transport Accident Commission asked everyone to reduce their speed by just 5 kilometres per hour. They asked everyone to slow down and wipe off 5. On the grounds of Australia's most loved sport, there was a 5 significant enough to change a nation's driving behaviour.
And there may be some confusion for footy fans this weekend when the AFL marks a road safety message. It's wiping the 5 off the 50-metre circle to highlight the dangers of low-level speeding.
And the millions of footy fans will be watching this weekend's matches. We hope the missing 5s on the 50-metre arc will remind you to think about slowing down the next time you hit the roads.
Now, the AFL, of course, is showing its support tonight of the TAC's message to wipe off 5 by removing the 5 from the 50-metre line.
And while this was happening around the games, we asked Victorians how they would wipe off 5 in their own communities. The best ideas gain support in the hope of being implemented in schools and on the streets. Football clubs made their own commitment, with some of the biggest stars wiping 5 right off their own backs. Every aspect of the game, from footy training to matchday records, prompted fans to wipe off 5. Australian hardware franchise Mitre 10 with over 430 stores around the country, became Mitre 5. Online retailer Scoopon wiped $5 off all purchases for the day. Victoria's highest selling newspaper, the Herald Sun, symbolically wiped 5 cents off the price of the paper, and page 5 was wiped clean. The collective effort from the community changed Victoria's definition of speeding. A record 88% of Victorians understand speeding is anything up to 5 kilometres over the speed limit. During the campaign period, speeding fines reduced by over 31,000 from the previous year. And in the 6 months that followed, Victoria's road toll was at its lowest in 90 years.
Folks, this is absolutely genius. I'm totally blown away by this. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you a video from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Now, this is something that, like I said, I see these driving behaviors happen just about every single time I hit the road here in Missoula. Let me set the scene for you. So we have a rather large intersection right here. Obviously, you can see it's 5 lanes. We have a red light situation right here, and the vehicle that I'm sort of sitting on the dashboard in is going to be making a right-handed turn. I'm going to play the video, pause it, and then we're going to back up and we're going to explore the different aspects of what occurred and some important aspects of how we could prevent this from occurring. This is important to share with the young drivers in your family. It's actually important to share with anybody because we have something to learn from this. And as a former police officer out of Kansas City, Missouri, I have taken 1,000+ crash reports where I've had to sit there and draw diagrams of what occurred in these crashes, and I've had to analyze how can I prevent myself from ever becoming involved in these different crashes. So let's take a look at it and we'll then analyze it.
Pull over.
All right, there you go. Things happen really fast. If you look forward here, you can see there's a sign right there that says 45 miles an hour over here on the other side in the median. Another sign saying 45 miles per hour. A lot of things could happen at 45 miles an hour, even though we think, yeah, what could happen at 45 miles an hour, right? And a lot of people are traveling way above 45 miles an hour on these roadways. So I'm going to rewind it here. So as this vehicle comes around the corner, we see right here the violator. This is the vehicle that's going to cross 2 lanes of traffic in an attempt to occupy this inside lane. First violation, this is huge. They are 100% at fault for this crash because they made the primary violation of not making the right-hand turn into the first available lane, which would have been this lane of traffic. The reason for that, I'm not 100% sure. Perhaps as they were pulling out, they looked and they saw this vehicle coming around the corner and they didn't want to cut this vehicle off or feel like they were cutting this vehicle off, so they were going to zip across. Perhaps they were looking to make a left-hand turn up here down the road at the next intersection, so they wanted to be sure to get into that left-hand lane first, as opposed to getting into the right-hand lane, making a lane change, making another lane change to get into the left. They were just going to shoot the gap and make it all the way over to the inside lane. I don't know what their reason is, but this is exactly why this is illegal to do, that we always occupy or we make that turn into the first available lane. Right-hand turn, it's the first right-hand turn lane. Left-hand turn, it would be coming into that left-hand turn lane, not coming all the way across traffic and then like shooting into this gas station, for example. Turn into that first available lane. So that's the key violation here. If I was a police officer, this individual would have received tickets for those violations. As they come around, they start to cross this lane of traffic. I can tell right here at this moment that they are not turning into this lane. Their wheels are straight. They're going to continue into what I would believe at this moment, that middle lane of traffic. At this point here, I can see that they yet don't have their wheels turned down the roadway, that they now appear to be going towards that inside lane, which ultimately happens to be the case. We see the silver SUV enter the frame over here. As they come in, it looks to me like they have recognized the fact that this vehicle is a danger, and they are already begun to make the evasive maneuvers of transitioning to that inside lane. They're starting that lane change already. Look at the space that they have available in that middle lane that they were previously occupying. Now, they are driving at a very high rate of speed. Even if they are going that 45-mile-an-hour speed limit, which we see down the roadway, they just came through this rather large intersection. I don't know if I would want to be traveling through such a large intersection at a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit. I probably would have dropped it down. I would recommend in this situation that people slow down through these big intersections because you have all of these other things that are going on. And here we see that side of the vehicle. That's the danger sign, is that, hey, look, we got a side of a vehicle. They're potentially waiting to enter the roadway. I don't know if they see me or not. I don't know if they see the other vehicles. I don't know what they're going to do. Let me slow down. That slowing down of speed, like they say, that wipe off 5, or, what we're saying here, reduce your speed by 3 miles per hour, could be all the difference in the world. So I think the silver SUV is probably going just above the speed limit. Do we see that here in Missoula? Yeah, just about everywhere, right? People are speeding. Letters to the editor this last week about people going through school zones. I oftentimes listen to the scanner on my phone as I'm driving around, and I hear school crossing guards calling in about people speeding through school zones routinely, and they're requesting that officers have extra patrols in those areas because of the danger that causes. Here they are making that lane change into that inside lane, already making that evasive maneuver. However, notice they have not yet hit their brakes. Now, this comes into a key play of what we talked about in the Wipe Off 5 video, that braking time and where half of your speed is reduced in that final bit of braking. Here they wait to brake. What I'm thinking is happening in this situation, only because I have it on video occurring here in Missoula and I've seen it 1,000 times, is that there's some ego involved in this driver. What they're planning on doing at this point, because they have not hit their brakes, is they're planning on changing lanes into that inside lane. They're going to swerve around this vehicle and they're going to honk their horn as they go by to let this individual know in the dark gray SUV that they are an idiot, and that they swerved out of the way and honked their horn to let them know that they're an idiot and to show them that it was only because of their superior driving skills that they were able to make this maneuver around this vehicle to avoid hitting them. Again, that's a lot of ego involved in a situation like this, and I only say this is because they have not yet hit their brakes, and they've only begun that transition into that inside lane. I see that happen all the time, and actually have a situation where a vehicle had plenty of braking time available when a vehicle turned right in front of them. It's similar to this. But instead of hitting their brakes and safely slowing down, they passed this vehicle on the right-hand shoulder, which was extremely dangerous in this situation. Let's look at when they decide to hit their brakes. No brakes yet. Brake lights. First indication, look at how close they are. Now, they are committed now to this inside lane at this point. Once they determine that by the angle of this vehicle, the positioning of that front tire, their intention is to occupy that inside lane also. This person has essentially driven themselves into a funnel of no escape at this point because they chose not to brake earlier and that they were only going to swerve at the high rate of speed to take that lane. And you can see that there's this fairly heavy braking right here at the end, because you see the little bit of a nose dip from this vehicle right here. The back end's up a little bit higher. There's a decent angle of nose dip there, but still at this point, I would not consider that extremely hard braking. Now, most people would not expect a collision at 45 miles an hour to be something that could cause a rollover crash, but I've seen a rollover right on reserve. If you watch the news, you've probably seen multiple rollovers that occur right on Reserve Street, folks, at 45 miles an hour or less. However, chances are people are probably going a little bit over 45, which I think this silver vehicle is going a little bit over the speed limit here. So as just the angle and the forces that are in play cause this vehicle to roll over. Now, let me ask you this. If you were part of this silver vehicle here, would you want to be wearing your seatbelt? If you were the passenger of this vehicle, sitting in the front passenger seat, would you want to be wearing your seatbelt in this crash? Because the passenger of this vehicle is the one that probably sustains the greatest amount of energy and force in this crash. And here's where the seatbelt is vitally important. But look at the force that's going to be applied to the passenger side of this vehicle. Not only are they moving forward, but now they are moving upwards and over. So this is a huge amount of force up. And then the vehicle is going to come crashing down on its side and then ultimately on its roof. So the passenger now completely upside down. You did not have your seatbelt on. You would come crashing into the roof of the vehicle or perhaps even out of the passenger side window of this vehicle. Now, as this vehicle is continuing to slide down the road, if you would have been partially ejected out of the passenger side, and I'm talking partially ejected, could be just a matter of inches outside of that window, that vehicle then collides with that darker SUV and you could be pinched in between those two vehicles. That is not a healthy place to be with all of those forces in place. Your seatbelt is designed to keep you inside the cage that is the car. You can see right here that side airbags were deployed. That's what that little white object in the window there is. But if you did not have that seatbelt, you would obviously be crushed head first down on the roof of this car. And I'm pretty sure nobody would feel comfortable going for this ride without a seatbelt on. Couple key elements. One, make sure you're not distracted driving. If it was the driver of this silver SUV, if they had their cell phone in their hand, they would have not even have seen this vehicle pull out in front of them at that speed. I don't think they were distracted again because they started that evasive maneuver before they even came into frame. And you can see like they're over the line already. So in just a couple frames. So they're paying attention at least. So that part is good. This car up here, one reason or another, they didn't see this vehicle. On a side note, aside from all of this stuff, let's go to the end of this video here. We're going to see the passenger of this car that we're in hop out of the vehicle. I'm going to show you one other safety measure to be sure to watch out for. As this guy gets out of the car here, he's going to run in front. He's not looking back at traffic in case there was another car that's coming. Of course, his adrenaline is through the roof right now, having witnessed this type of situation, but he should be looking back towards his left before he crosses the roadway to go render aid, because he could be the next victim if somebody, perchance the next person in line, was on their cell phone, was adjusting their radio, was reading a billboard or what have you, and they didn't see that this car stopped, and they didn't see the crash, and they didn't see him. At the last moment, they look up, and he steps out in front of this car here and gets taken out in the center lane. If you happen to witness something like this, be sure that you are taking a moment to be aware of your surroundings. And with that, I hope you can appreciate a few key elements related to this video. Number one, that it's shareable. I'm looking for you to share this video with other young drivers, regardless of their location. They don't have to be here in Missoula. Also, additionally, seatbelts, vitally important. We can make a lot of mistakes, whether it be failing to make a right-hand turn correctly, maybe we're driving a little too fast, maybe we have improper lane changes, but seatbelts, above all else, can save us when small, minor mistakes add up to make one big, huge mess. Additionally, the importance of driving while paying attention without distractions. That includes the ones that are in our hands or the ones that are built into the vehicles. On top of all that, we didn't really talk about it much, but also any sort of internal impairment, that being alcohol, drugs, over-the-counter medications, a combination of any of the above. makes for a really bad mix when driving a vehicle. So again, please share this video, have those discussions with others about this, and let's help make our roads safer. And as always, thank you, and drive safe, Missoula.